Hey YouTube, this is Zach with Achilles Financial, and today we're going to be talking about kind of the aftermath of two covered call plays that I did on November 30th and how they've progressed to this point in time, because at that point in time I was looking at essentially a 2.5 week play. Those plays were made on Aquabounty, which I have kind of here on the screen right here with the ticker symbol of AQB, and then the other one is going to be IDEX, IDEX, or Ideanomics. So the reason that I'm talking about those two, because I've talked about both of these stocks previously on the channel, and I've talked about my logic on covered calls. Today I want to showcase what that actually looks like in practice, especially for some of the smaller accounts, and an incredibly safe way of making passive income if you are long in a stock. So what I want to talk about here today is Aquabounty. I have it here on the screen. As you can see, I've got my statements for the trades that I've made on this particular stock over the course of 2020. There's only two trades. Something you'll see on Monday is when I was exercised on that covered call, because the stock did finish above that 750 price tag. I believe they're right now at like 801, 804 something. We'll see that momentarily. But this is just a real life example of how you can make these trades and actually make real income. This is a portfolio that started as right at $1,000 and it's currently sitting right at about $1,350. So let's take a look at what this trade actually looks like. So I'm going to switch screens real quick. So as you can see, we're going to be looking at this Aquabounty right here on the screen. The way that I approach this is I find stocks that have a high level of volatility, as well as I think there's still some potential gain, and I'm long on the share. So this is one that got pumped by a number of prominent YouTubers, and due to the low share price at the time of $5.47, I said, why not? So what I did is I actually purchased 100 shares for $547. So if you are not a huge account player, you have under $1,000 in your account, this is a very safe strategy. As you can see, I then sold a covered call, and essentially this is my right to those shares for the $750 price tag, and I got $70 for those shares. As you can see, those shares then appreciated and continued to go up to where on 12/18/2020 I was forced to sell them because they were over that threshold. Now, I'm not here to talk about the individual company. I'll allow you to go and do your own individual research. But as you can see, what happened there is it cost me $547 to get into this trade. I was then paid $70, and because I'm not exactly long on the stock in the long term, I was okay with selling them at this price of $750, which, as you can see, was quite a healthy profit, and I did so. So I walked away with $273 in the span of 2.5 weeks, inclusive of some holiday time, which came out to right at a 50% profit in the course of 2.5 weeks. Now, granted, a lot of that excitement was built around the volatility associated with Aquabounty, which is how I target covered call stocks. So again, 50% right in about 2.5 weeks. That is the limelight of basically a play like this for covered call, where the shares actually appreciate that much as well. So instead, let's look at a trade that didn't necessarily go as happily, and that is IDEX. So before we go into the actual math, I want to show you what that trade looked like on the TD Ameritrade account. So we are back on TD Ameritrade. I am now showing you the IDEX just to show you that we're looking at all of them. I'm showing everything in 2020. You can see the shares here. I originally bought the shares at a very high premium that you can actually see right here of 100 at $2.94. This is when the EV stocks were all running up. Again, you can see back on 11/30. I saw this as a nice entry point just to play the volatility. So I was actually at that point in time able to sell that December 18th covered call for $350 at 6 cents or 6 cents a share, which would be $60. You can see that here, had to pay that commission. But again, that was a $60 trade. I received $60, and then as you can see, I did a number of share purchases up until I decided, hey, I think this stock still has a ways to run, so I averaged down and bought another 100 shares of IDEX at $2.38. So again, that initial investment is right at $550 between the 294 and the 238. And then what I did is I actually bought back that covered call because it had depreciated. So I had to pay $25 at that trade. And then you can see that I then sold two at $30 a piece for the $3 call option. So let's dive back into the math behind that, since you can kind of see the actual trades taking place here. What does that translate into? So we're now looking at those IDEX plays. As you can see, what I have here on the screen is I've purchased the shares twice for 200 shares total, because I'm just focusing on the 100 block shares because that's something you can easily replicate. For the first trade in between those two blocks of shares, I did make a sell where I sold the shares for $60. So I received $60. I then purchased back that same exact trade for $25. So you can see that here where I purchased that back. So the proceeds between these two trades right here is $35. And then because I had 200 shares, I sold two covered calls at 30 cents a piece, or $30 a piece. So there's another $60. So off of an initial investment of right at $550, I did not sell my 200 shares. So I still have 200 shares. We'll go take a look at those momentarily. However, I now am currently sitting at a covered call proceeds over 2.5 weeks of $95. So without any form of the individual share movements right there, if we actually look at this and we break out kind of what I'm looking at from the first share purchase as well as the initial or the secondary share purchase, this is a total of $533. However, I've already made 17.8% return on that initial investment because I've got $95 in the bag. So let's take a look at what next steps are going to be for these IDEX shares. To do so, we've dove right into the IDEX platform, or rather the Thinkorswim TD Ameritrade platform on their web version. As you can see, I'm down $126 on these actual shares. This is just to showcase some of the difference between the share purchases as well as what we're actually looking at from a covered call proceeds. So I still have $95 of profit from the covered call proceeds. Still down on the shares, but as you can see, the stock is continuing to rise. So let me just showcase kind of what that looks like over the past week. So as you can see, the stock is making a rapid rise from the 170 lows. If we have another big day where the stock goes as much to 220, then that's probably going to be the point in time where I sell this next covered call. You see there's not a lot of dates, but the January 15th, I'm going to look at $3 because that's higher than my average cost. But right now it's 25. I'd like to see this at the 30-35 mark. If we see another big day where they move another 4 or 5%, I think that this is going to be an easy sell. But then again, I can get another $60, which will take me up to a total of $155 total of having sold this all off of an initial $500 investment. So this is what I'm going to be looking for right here, is selling this trade right here. So let me just showcase what that would look like. So if I sell both of these, again, we actually want that 30 mark though, then my potential profit total off of the shares as well as the covered calls there is $124, although I've already received 95 per set. So as of right now, you can see that this account is currently measured at $133, and we've got our cash from our Aquabounty shares right here. So there's a lot of opportunity here, but this is a real world example of how we've gotten essentially another $300 to play with over the course of 2.5 weeks. This is why I really like covered calls. Admittedly, the strategy still has to be approached in a way that you are picking volatile stocks that you actually believe in, but I still think that there's a lot of opportunity to run here. So this is what I'm going to be looking at going forward. So this is covered calls. I walked through the whole process, showed you what I did, and I plan on showing you the actual trade because I've got $750 of buying power that I intend to use, as well as I will be doing another covered call on IDEX pending how the stock opens up on Monday. So let me know in the comments below if you've got a good stock that you think would be good for covered calls that I can use for $750 in the comments below. And if you'd like to see me do this in real time and not have to wait for the video, please join our Discord, and I'll drop that in the description. Any questions, let me know. Thanks all for watching, and I will talk to you later.